Hi everybody, it's your worst nightmare today. That's right. We're gonna be talking for this whole episode. We're gonna be talking about how we met.
Yep.
So, let's get started.
Okay.
Alright,
Well, the day I met you was the worst day of my life.
Oh, alright. Off to a great start already. Good and honest.
We met in biology class.
Yeah, but where, as far as biology class is concerned, like there's college biology?
Oh,
there's
high school biology. We were attending a homeschool co-op and we met in biology class. And I don't know about you, but I saw you and just assumed you were like a smart, nerdy, scientific person. So I just assumed you got all the good grades. And I was like, I don't know. I was very stressed in that class because that was the class where I got my first ever C on a test. So I like freaked out. So basically the whole class, I was just freaking out internally, just trying not to fail. Basically, I just remember you seeming smart and scientific, and we were never paired as lab partners, so we never really talked.
Okay, I never knew this part of your story. That explains a lot, actually.
Wait, what does that mean?
No, that just explains a lot. Anyway, my side of the story is, well, met Lili in biology when we were in the high school co-op. It was a very interesting experience because when I saw her, I remember the first thing I thought was, dang, that girl has a long last name. I mean, I don't think she's ever mentioned it on here, but it's a really long Polish name, and I was just mesmerized by it. I hadn't seen anything like that since I was living in Norway, so it was just crazy. But yeah, from that point on, I was just fascinated with this individual. I was trying to come up with like her backstory and everything.
In your brain?
Yeah, in my
Oh
brain.
My God.
I would just like study you whenever you weren't looking, and I'd just be like, okay, now what is this girl's backstory? Okay, she's Chinese, all right, but the Polish last name is really throwing me off. So what could it be? Is she mixed? Was she adopted? Or like what's going on? There weren't too many theories to to come up with this, but I had narrowed it down to those two, and apparently
The adopted was right.
yeah. So when I finally found out that she was adopted, which just so happened to be like years and years later on, I was just like, aha, so I was right. In high school, I was just so fascinated with this individual, trying to come up with her backstories, to the point where my intrigue slowly developed into kind of like a crush.
Oh, really? When did this happen exactly?
I can't give you an exact date, but...
Well, you can give me a time frame, like was it in biology?
Yeah, it was around biology, you know, that's where the
Wow.
infatuation sort of started, and then it evolved the following year. But yeah, she treated me like I didn't exist, because I guess for the reason she just told you. I didn't know that. I thought she just hated my guts.
Oh my goodness, you don't understand. Like, when I saw that C on my test, I like went home just crying. I basically was just like, I am a failure. No future for me. Goodbye, college.
Lili,
Yeah.
I'm going to impart on you and your younger self something that a good friend once told me.
What?
C's get degrees.
Not in my book. I got an A in that class, though, in the end, so.
I didn't. Biology was hard.
Yeah.
Like, there was just too much going on in it. Too much to remember. Eventually, I just signed out. Dissecting an albino rat was my all-time favorite session, though. Someone did try to use their small intestine as jump rope, though, so that was weird. Flash forward to the following year. We're in chemistry together. What?
Like, that's funny. We were in biology and then we were in chemistry.
Uh-huh. And this is where if only we actually had legitimate chemistry back then. Not for lack of trying on my part. Because this is where I was actually trying to put my feelings into action.
Oh,
With
really?
her. Yeah, I tried everything under the sun to just get over to talk to you. But all you ever did was have your face in a book. I couldn't deal with that. I couldn't operate with that. What was your tragic backstory for that?
I love books. And I also really wanted an A in that class, too. So.
Okay, so basically grades were the priority.
I will say, during that class, I did learn a little bit more about you. Like, I learned you were good at ninja. Like, it was between you and one other person. I think you ended up losing, but you were still pretty good at ninja.
Oh, stop the presses. I was good at ninja. Oh my.
What?
If you don't know what ninja is, look it up. You're too young.
Yeah, I guess that's about all I learned about you.
Well, I
In
sure
the
learned.
classroom, I mean.
Well, I learned a decent amount about you. You're very studious. That has definitely carried over still.
Oh yeah, and with all the experiments we had to do in the lab, I remember you just kept getting in my way, and I was just trying to do something. You were always in the way.
I'm sorry for being tall. I was like the tallest kid in that class. I was getting in the way of a lot of people. Goodness gracious.
Pretty sure I glared at you a couple times.
Well, at least you were showing me some kind of attention. Yeah, but despite all of my attempts to win her affection, it was just to no avail until we went on a certain field trip to a little place called the Botanical Gardens. Now see, this place for chemistry, we were supposed to detect the acidic level of different soils throughout the gardens. And you know, ultimately it was a pretty standard field trip as far as I was concerned. But my main focus was getting Lily to laugh. I was seen as kind of a funny guy in the classroom, so, you know, I was just like, I don't think I've ever made her laugh or even seen her laugh, so this should be interesting. Let me try something.
We were paired up because the professor was just like, all right, pair up, and he was the last guy left, so.
It was fate.
You were just there.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, so all throughout this trip, and it was like what, 2-3 hours long.
It was a long field
It was
trip.
really long. We were just going around everywhere. Everybody was tired by the end of it. But all the while, I was trying to spit mad game at this girl. Like, oh my gosh, the things that I said to try to make her laugh.
The first thing you said, though, was not to try to make me laugh, but you expressed your disdain for hummus, and I was just like, what? Because I really liked hummus at the time. I mean, it's still alright, but I was obsessed with it back then.
Well,
So.
did I know that? No. I would have if you had talked to me, but that didn't happen. But yeah, all throughout this trip, I was trying to get her to laugh at least once. I would at least be able to go home with that takeaway. But she wouldn't let me have it. She was just so concerned with how acidic the soils were. She wouldn't even look at me half the time.
I wanted a good grade.
Oh my gosh, it was a given you were going to get a good grade. You went on the field trip. We were going to get a good grade regardless because we attended. But yeah, I'm over here doing my best, trying to get this girl to laugh, acting a total fool.
And you were wearing this dumb shirt that said, "I'm awesome," with the me highlighted.
Hey, I thought it was a great shirt.
I think that was the first full sentence I said to you. I was just like, "Awesome me."
Yeah, and you better believe when it happened, I was just like, she just, did you, what? Yeah, I was shook. So when she talked to me, I was just like, oh my gosh, I didn't think I'd ever get this far. What do I say? What do I say in return? Oh gosh. So I just kind of like was just like, yeah, you know, trying to be Mr. Confident over here, like something lame like that. And she was just kind of like, immediately she was just losing interest. So we went on this trip. It took hours. I wasn't able to get her to laugh once, and that was mainly because she was treating me like I didn't exist. I'm assuming it was because she rapidly realized that I was not the smart and chemistry savvy individual that she thought I was.
That you weren't taking it as seriously as I thought you would.
Lily, I don't take a lot of things seriously. Life is too short for that mess.
No, I was very serious.
Yeah, you still are, but
Thank you.
That wasn't a compliment. Yeah, it wasn't until we got to the final section of the field trip, the Rose Garden. And it was, if you can imagine this, it's just a series of bushes with, you know, roses. So we all were dead tired. Our professor finally just said, you know what, we're calling it here. You guys can just chill, relax, do what you need to do to just like rest. We're gonna be driving back shortly afterwards, you know, once your parents get here. So we were just passing the time. I was still trying to spit game at Lily, but she wasn't having it. She was just staring at the ground most of the time, just like, I'd rather be anywhere else. So yeah, that wasn't going too well. But when some of my guy friends decided to be stuntmen and leap over the rose bushes, I got an idea. See, I saw this as an opportunity to woo Lily with my athletic abilities. Considering it was just my first year of coming out of being overweight, there was no athleticism anywhere in my body. So I'm over here, slim but not fit, just like, oh, that looks like fun. Hey, check this out for a second. I get up, I get a running start, and I leap over the first rose bush. She's still just looking at the ground. She's not even like paying attention to me. I'm just like, does she even have any idea how much effort that took for me to jump over?
Oh my God.
And I'm just like, you know what, fine. I'm gonna get her to notice me. I'm gonna jump over that second one right there. Now this one did not have nearly as much space in between us, so I didn't get as much of a running start. So I am about to leap over. Briefly, I look over my shoulder. She's looking. I'm just like, okay, I really can't mess this up now. But I don't even make it halfway past the bush. My foot gets caught. The indent is still there to this day. Mind you, this was like, what, 5, 6, 7 years ago? So that indent is still there. It's amazing I didn't get banned from the place. But my foot gets caught in this rose bush, and I slam into the ground, and I black out. And I come to, and everybody in my class is surrounding me. And they're just like, oh my gosh, well, what are we gonna do? I'm just like, what happened? What happened? And one of the guys who was jumping over the rose bush comes up to me and is like, hey dude, you spray paint your knee white? And I'm just like, well, that's gotta be the most absurd question I've ever heard. Why would you think that? And then I look down and I see my knee. I'm just like, that's not straight. That's not spray paint, man. That's my tendon. I knew immediately that I had scraped through to my bare tendon. Like, that was it remains the deepest cut I have ever suffered, because the ground, as I was, assessing my surroundings, was all gravel. It was solid gravel. In other words, I had scraped the living daylights out of my kneecap. The pain hadn't even hit me yet. The shock did. And I was just trying to get up so I could just find some kind of thing to wrap it up. I need a Band-Aid or something.
He was essentially carried back to the building.
Oh yeah, by one person. They just threw me over their shoulder like I was just some kind of deer carcass and just went on over. It was like I was in and out of consciousness. My blood was everywhere. I was in so much pain.
Paramedics had to be called.
Yeah, the paramedics had to be called, and once they came over, they, washed my wound out and everything, and I had to make a phone call to my mother, who later told me that, because she was driving my brother over as well. She told my brother right before coming, because she saw the ambulances, and she was just like, I can't quite put my finger on it, but I have a feeling that these paramedics are here for a specific reason involving my son. 2 seconds later, she gets a phone call from me. I was like, Mom, I fell, and I'm really hurting. My mother is just like, I freaking called it. And so she rushes inside to see if I'm okay, and she practically barfs when she sees my kneecap. It's a whole ordeal. I'm embarrassed. I'm the first one to leave. Lily doesn't say a thing to me. Not even an "Are you okay?"
I really wanted to, and I also when he fell, I was initially the first person to find him, and I wanted to help him up, but everyone got in my way. And then with the whole thing being in the welcome building, I wanted to say goodbye to him, but I was just like, you know what, he's got enough people surrounding him, I'll just leave.
And that's exactly what she did. And here I was thinking, oh man, that's it. She has signed off. This is the last time I'm ever gonna see her. Like, I even considered not coming to class the next week. I was so embarrassed.
I think it was our like last class too.
It was, and that's why I was there. My mom was just like, "You are going to this last class." It's like, fine, I'll go. So I went, and yeah, we ended up signing yearbook. She doesn't remember this, but she actually asked me if I was coming back the next year. I was not. I had been recommended to a different school, a private school, and so I ended up going there with my brother.
Private school, Mr. Prep Boy.
It got me into college, okay? That's what I see it as. It got
I'm
me
just
into
saying
college.
that's like the opposite of you now.
It is the opposite of me now, but yeah. So we were actually apart for the next 2 years or so because she stayed at the co-op and I was at this place. I was thriving in drama, had my own, share of girl drama here and there, and I don't know, what were you doing during that gap period?
Gosh, it was my senior year, so I was like half in high school, half in college because I did dual enrollment at the college. What's that face for?
Overachiever.
Actually, I could have graduated high school early, but that's another story. But anyway, I was at the college that Mark and I eventually re-met at, so I was taking classes there, and then I was also working part-time at a grocery store, and I guess I have like some guy drama, but not too much.
Oh, you had all the guy drama. Everybody wanted you at that grocery store.
Well, I only really had like one actual guy drama though. The others I just flat out rejected.
Yeah, I know all about the one you didn't reject.
Well, he rejected me. Or I guess ghosted. I don't know.
And if this person happens to be watching...
I want my book back.
Yeah. When high school ended, there was a lot of drama with college for me. Places were not willing to lower their prices at all. So, long story short, I wound up where Lili was. Granted, I had no idea that she was there. As far as I knew, she just graduated from the homeschool place and just, I don't know, started working. So it was kind of
You didn't think I went to college?
I mean, I had a lot of theories in my head, okay? One of them was you just became a working individual, which there's nothing wrong with. You're getting experience really early, but, I also figured you were at a college, but just not the one I was at. Yeah, because
we went to a local college.
Yeah.
Kind of. Well, for me it was local. For you it was not.
I had to go across a bridge. If you live in Virginia, y'all know what bridge I'm talking about. Yeah, so it was like the first 2 or 3 months there my freshman year, and I'm in the library sneaking out of a class.
Oh yeah, you also, sorry to interrupt, but you also, to get into the private school, you went back a year, so you graduated after me, so that's why your freshman year was my sophomore year, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's right. That's a whole other thing. Like, honestly, only repeat high school if it's what you want to do, okay? Like, I did it because I wanted more theater experience, and it wound up getting me into the college where I met Lili, so it all worked out. So I was getting out of a class. Well, not really getting out, it had ended, but I didn't want to see anybody there. So I was just going through the library, and then I look at the front desk and I see somebody who kind of rings a bell. And I'm just like, I know I've seen this person somewhere, but where have I seen her? And then I look and see her name tag. That dang Polish last name was still there, and immediately it clicked. So initially, I'm not gonna go over there to her because I'm just like, why reopen old wounds?
Literally.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, this is a fresh start because I didn't really know anybody at this college, so I was just like, yeah, why reopen new wounds? Let's just let bygones be bygones and go our own way. Something in me just said, well, you better get over there and ask her name. I was just like, fine, I guess. So I go over there and I'm just like, this is gonna sound really weird, but were you at this homeschool co-op this year and in this class?
And I
Lili
said,
just looked me dead in the face.
I said, were you the guy who jumped over the rose bush?
And immediately it was like friends on sight. It was just like, hi Lili. She was like, hi Mark. And then from that point on, we'd been reacquainted and everything. But it wasn't until the following semester where we really started to get closer, because she was busy with the library and her classes, and since I was a freshman, I didn't have any classes that she did. So eventually we were paired into a class together, and I would sit with her all the time because, familiar face, I can mess with her too. So I decided to do that, and for a while it was really nice. I thought I was striking up really good conversations and kind of wooing her with my intellect.
Talking to you?
Yeah, she was talking to me, which in itself was just like so imagine my surprise when all of a sudden she's just like, yeah, me and my boyfriend went to go see a movie just last week, and I'm just like, I freeze. I'm just like, those of you in theater, you know that pause you get whenever you forget a line on stage and it feels like it's been a lifetime, but it's actually just been like a couple of seconds. That's how I felt the second she said she had a boyfriend. I was just like, dang it, I'm too late. So
You weren't too late though.
I just kind of, I back off a little bit.
Yet you couldn't help yourself.
I couldn't help myself. We were in the same class, so of course we were partnered up a lot because, we both were pretty studious during that time frame. So we did what we did to pass the class, so we worked together a lot. That was pretty much it for my freshman year. No real advances because, she had her boyfriend. But then over the summer, she actually sends me a message because I had recommended a book to her, Tuesdays with Maury. If you haven't read it, read it. She had read it over the summer and was telling me about it. It was like, it was really good. I really appreciated the recommendation. And I'm over here thinking, okay, this is it. This is where I start having a conversation with her. And we're going to talk all throughout the summer and it's going to be great. I'm just like, well, I'm so glad you like it. Trying to get the conversation going. Her next response is, well, I hope you have a great summer. I'm just like,
I didn't want to bother you.
You weren't bothering me. I wanted you to talk to me. But yeah, she wasn't willing to talk, so
I was willing, I just didn't know you were.
I went an entire summer without saying anything.
Oh, were you upset?
Yeah, it wasn't until the fall, just before the new semester, that she messaged me again because we had actually been paired in a class or two. No, we had almost been, but she decided to transfer out because she thought poetry was more important. Poetry. She's in nonfiction. What the heck is she doing in poetry?
Poetry is still good.
Oh my gosh, you hated that class with a burning passion.
Well, yeah, because I had to write a sonnet, but...
They are not easy. But because of that, we went a whole other semester without really seeing each other. Now, she did initiate certain hangout sessions, and that was a little weird. I was a little weirded out, to be honest, because I was just like, okay, your boyfriend know about this? I ain't trying to impose or anything. I ain't trying to be a Mr. Steal Your Girl.
There was no boyfriend at that point.
Yeah, but here's the thing. She made that known. I didn't ask about it. She made it known. She was just like, yeah, my ex did this. Like, it was in a random conversation. She just threw that in there. And I was just like, ex? Like, my radar immediately was just like, I was just like, ooh, okay, I can work with that. I'm like, how recent of an ex? Like, I'm over here thinking and plotting. I'm just like, okay, I ain't gonna let this slide. So we end up hanging out a lot during that semester. It was crazy. Our first hangout was we actually went to go see Doctor Strange when it first came out.
Yep.
She was a big Benedict Cumberbatch nerd, so of course that was gonna be her movie because that was her guy. I went because I'm a diehard Marvel fan, so
yeah, I
naturally,
knew nothing about Doctor Strange. I just knew Benedict was in it.
That's all she needed to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we saw that and it was a great time. No real advances. It was at a cinema cafe. It was really dark. There was no way anything could really happen there. Christian college, Christian kids, so nothing. Nothing was happening in that theater.
Well, also, I was just concentrated on eating my gyro, so.
Eating her gyro while staring directly into Benedict's eyes whenever he was close enough to the screen.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah, nothing really happened that night, but it was really fun. I had another thing to go to shortly after that, so she had to drop me off, but overall it was fun, and I felt that I didn't want to leave. I was obligated to, but I didn't want to.
You a little upset about that?
Very, but that's beside the point. So yeah, we just kept having like little hangouts like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was in the library where she worked, other times it was out and about. One time we went to Outback, and that was kind of like our first, I don't know, simulation for a dinner date. It was interesting though, because it was just a friendly get together, and yet everybody who was there just kept looking at us like we were some kind of couple. And I was just like, all right, you know, I can vibe with this. This is good.
I just remember that I was torn between getting wings or the buffalo chicken sandwich.
And like an idiot, you got the buffalo chicken sandwich. And I got the wings just to spite her. No hate towards Outback because the stuff was still good. Y'all just make some really big sandwiches.
Yeah, and I'm a little person.
Yeah, little bites, you know. But yeah, so we just kept on having hangouts like that, and you know, it was really fun. We got to know a lot about each other during those times, but it wasn't until the following, it wasn't until winter break where things finally started to really take off. Because we were talking all throughout, and I was thinking, okay, here we go. This is it. This is where I spit my game, and then when we come back...
Well, can I say at this point, I definitely unconsciously liked you. I was just suppressing it because that's just what I do best. So when you suppress things, a lot of times you do the opposite of what you actually want. So, okay, continue.
Yeah, so I'm over here spitting game at her thinking, yeah, there's no way that she doesn't like me. She even mentioned that she has a crush who has so many of my characteristics. It's gotta be me. So in comes Mark with a C. Mark with a C. Do you even realize how much of a slap in the face it was to not only be picked over after dedicating months to this, but to have the person that beat you be off by a letter?
It's okay.
And he was white. That was another thing. White Mark with a C. And she just kept gushing over this guy. I was just like, are you serious?
Yeah, I never went out with him, but I talked to him and he ended up being a wreck.
I could not deal. It could not compute.
Like a nice person, but he needed to figure some stuff up with his life.
Some stuff up with his life?
Some stuff with his life.
Okay. But yeah, so she's over here talking to me, and then she's over, on the other hand, having these long night conversations with this dude over the phone, and I'm over here just like, I've just been...
not over the phone, it was over messages.
Fine, over messages, however you want to call it. But yeah, basically, you would ditch me for this dude on a regular basis. So much so that I just ended up finding other things to do during the break. Like, you know, I found someone who wanted to talk with me, and I was just like, okay, maybe this will go somewhere. It didn't. It crashed and burned faster than it took off. And so by the time we came back from winter break, Lily decided she wasn't interested in this guy anymore. He was too much of a flake. Finally, I thought it was my time to shine. So, you know, we're talking still. I'm over here, you know, spitting more game, you know, easing into it because, you know, she was genuinely hurting from this guy. So we just took it easy. And then Valentine's Day came around, and like she was kind of subtly implying that she you know, wanted to see me. She had to work at the library, but I didn't have anything to do. I was single. I was in a Christian college. Nothing was going to happen with me that Valentine's Day. So needless to say, she starts texting me and she's like, you know, I personally wouldn't mind if you like came down. You know, she was saying it in a teasing way, but my radar was up. I wasn't no idiot. I was just kind of like, yeah, okay. So I go over to the library. I've got a thing of Skittles in my hand because for the life of me, I could not remember if she liked chocolate or just genuinely sweet candies. So yeah, I learned that. So yeah, I go to the library. She's like surprised to see me, but also she's kind of happy. Like I see a little smirk on her face. So I go over there and I'm just like, no one should be alone on Valentine's Day.
And
so I like
launch threw the bag of Skittles at me.
Yeah, I launched it at her. I'm not even sad about that. It was
like he thought about trying to be sweet and then he just chickened out last minute.
I was just like, here's your candy. But yeah, I gave it to her. It wasn't a fatal hit, so she got it. You know, she was just like, she couldn't stop smiling and everything. We were just talking for a good chunk of the night. some dude was serenading her coworker. It was a whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually I had to go because it was getting late, and I had my 3:15 workout to get to.
Don't ask about that.
Ask about it. I'll make a video of it. But essentially, the seed was planted. She knew that I had a thing for her, and I pretty much knew she had a thing for me. So then came the point where we had to figure out when we were going to actually admit anything. So it was a few days later, the 18th actually, when something was confessed. Lily and I were talking back and forth about like how I may or may not have actually cared for her. We had this whole rivalry going on. Like, if you couldn't tell from our previous videos, this rivalry has stuck some, but back when we were friends,
nemesis.
and the bane of your existence.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, it still probably applies. But we were just going back and forth with that, and eventually I let slip that I might care about her. And she was like, well, why might you care about me, Mark? You want to elaborate there a little bit? I'm just like, not really. You're just like, well, why don't you? Why don't you? It's interesting. I'm interested. So eventually I come clean and say that I like her. And then it's just like a pregnant pause for like, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. And then I get a message from her like, oh, so what happens now? I'm just like, well, I guess we should meet up and talk about it or something. And so that's what we did. That Saturday, we met up. We were originally going to meet up anyway to do a duet where I would sing and she would play the violin. We meet over at my room, and I'm over here thinking, oh crap, this is like a date. I have to prepare food. I didn't have anything on me except like a couple of frozen taquitos in the fridge. So I throw those in the oven after asking if she wants food. And so I get some salsa and, you know, I have that ready. She brings over movies. She brought The Prestige and Finding Neverland. And so we watched that together. And that was the first time I held her hand and she didn't reject me. And I was just like, that's a good sign, right?
I think it took you the whole first movie. What was the first one we watched?
We watched Finding Neverland first.
Yeah, it took you that whole movie to finally hold it, because by the time we were holding hands, the credits were rolling.
Yeah, and as soon as I held her hand, she was like, oh my god. Like,
I didn't say it like that.
Oh, you said it some kind of way. But yeah, and so the rest of the night, you know, we were just kind of enjoying being, you know, kind of like a cutesy budding couple. And the following day, I asked her out for real. And we've been going out ever since.
Wow.
So yeah, needless to say, if you are out there and you have someone that you have cared about since high school, all you have to do is do something so colossally stupid they'll remember you for it years later. Don't do what I did though, that's just painful.
Or, you know, you could have just like come to me all those years ago. And
I
been, like,
tried that and it didn't work. So needless to say, I had to throw myself in danger. And it worked. It wasn't my ideal choice, but you know, it did something. Yeah, I guess it worked out.
Aww.
You know, you're still here, we're engaged, so something came out of it. But yeah, long story short, if you like somebody, don't jump over a rose bush, but probably do something pertaining to flowers. It'll help the girl remember you. Those are my 2 cents.
If you like someone and they like you, have fun with them and stick with them.
Yeah, worked for us. Mm-hmm. It'll probably work for you too. Well, the camera's about to die, but hopefully we've kept you guys entertained. If you guys like this video, let us know if you want something else. You know, we might...
More stories.
More Mark and Lily stories.
More Millie stories.
Millie tales.
Millie tales.
Millie tales. That's going to be a thing. But yeah, if you want any more Millie tales, just let us know in the comments or DM us on our Instagram. We're game for anything. Till next time, you guys. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.